Joining us now is Illinois Congresswoman Delia Ramirez. She sits on the Congressional Hispanic Caucus. Congresswoman, it's great to have you on the show. We have a lot to cover. I do want to start off with the breaking news that we're seeing this evening, and certainly the escalatory rhetoric that we heard from the border czar, Tom Homan, threatening possibly to deploy the National Guard. Give me your sense, just as you're watching this play out in two of America's largest cities, how concerned are you about the risk of escalation, and your thoughts this evening about this?
What you're seeing is heartbreaking, frankly. You see Noam and ICE's actions by the Trump administration is that they don't care if you're complying with the law. They are terrorizing communities and they're ambushing immigrants outside of courthouses, restaurants, workspaces. In Chicago, luring people in to dismiss court cases and then literally pushing and throwing women, mothers into these buses while their masked ICE agents are terrorizing people. It's horrible to see what's happening, and they're targeting particular cities, New York City, LA, Chicago, intentionally. These are cities that have said that they are going to make sure that we're respecting the rule of law and that the president is not above the law. And what you're seeing is a sick propaganda that is scaring communities around the country.
Congresswoman, what advice do you have for bystanders, for regular people who are watching these raids take place? What should they be doing? Should they be standing on the sidelines and recording? Should they be trying to intercede? What do you think the proper role for the public is at this point?
I think it's really difficult for people, right? Because Donald Trump said, we are going to deport criminals. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And what you're seeing is terrorizing communities, people who are working, mothers, 4-year-old children who are being deported that are in cancer treatment. And so the community, right, neighbors are so afraid that it is now the neighbor who is being taken, abducted. And it's happening with ICE agents wearing masks, which is even actually scarier. So, of course, I would say to people, if you are in the area, please make sure to record, report what you see. Some of these ICE agents are pushing, slamming people and then saying that it's the other way around. Make sure that we're getting footage. It is really difficult to watch what we're seeing because what we know from this administration and from Secretary Noam is that they have no respect for rule of law. They have no respect for the courts. And so people in the streets are doing what they can to stand and protect people. And some of them is standing at a protest rally, ensuring that their neighbors are not robbed from the community without due process.
Congresswoman, we have seen where there have been agents taking people. They have been in plain clothes. They're masked. We have these irregular tactics. What do you advise for what concerns you the most about the tactics that are being used, and how should people respond, frankly?
Yeah. I mean, just think about that. You're leaving Walgreens, a store, and you see someone completely masked up. All of a sudden, they're taking someone. How would you respond? How do you know it's an ICE agent? What operation is it? They have these cars that are unmarked. People are scared. You can go on Amazon, buy a T-shirt that says ICE. The fear that you are hearing and feeling in every community around the country is palpable, which is why we have asked Secretary Noam, why these tactics? If what you're doing is correct and is rule of law and you have the authority to do, why are you using these tactics that truly create a sick propaganda? The $200 million in taxpayer propaganda that has children not sleeping at night because they're afraid that mom will not be home when they get home is sick. So I would say to you, a number of us, I serve in Homeland Security. We continue to send letters asking, I want to know about these tactics. What authority do you have? The money that was authorized by Congress to protect and provide resources to refugees, you are actually using it to send immigrants without due process to Guantanamo and Salvador. Who gave you that authority? And I would say to you that as members of Congress, we have to assert our congressional authority in this moment. We have to be able to visit these detention centers, and attempting to scare us off the way they have done in New Jersey is unacceptable. And we have to continue to do our responsibility, which is oversight in this precise moment where people are freaking out. I have people asking me, Congresswoman, I am a United States citizen. Do I have to walk around with my passport so that they don't abduct me too? That is the fear that you're hearing right now. It's not just immigrants. It is everyone who feels terrorized by these tactics.
And you're also, the images we just want to tell our viewers that they're seeing there from Paramount, California, appear to show tear gas canisters blowing down the street where these protests have been taking place throughout the course of the evening, certainly the afternoon in Los Angeles time. So we'll certainly update you with more information as we get it. But Congresswoman, let me get your thoughts on the development that happened yesterday, and that was with the return of Kilmar Abrego Garcia. And what that means for due process, whether it is a victory for due process or not. His attorney, Simon Sandoval Moshenberg, said, quote, bringing him back for prosecution is an abuse of power, not justice. And he added, due process means the chance to defend yourself before you're punished, not after. Just give me your thoughts on the road to get him back into the United States and where his case goes from here and its implications.
Look, certainly for a number of us, we are grateful that he is back in the U.S., right, where we will be able to fight for his due process in a way that you and I both know at CICAD in El Salvador, we weren't able to. Certainly, as colleagues of mine went to Salvador, it was difficult to really get a sense of was he okay? What was the deal there? How was he treated? And so it is important that he is back in the U.S., right? And I would say complying with the Constitution, our laws, multiple court orders, is the basic minimum that this administration needs to be doing. But I think to the lawyer's point, what they're trying to do is make an example of Kilmar, because they understand that the epitome of violation of due process is what we're seeing in his case. And it's why we're going to have to do everything we can to ensure that the courts understand that this man deserves due process as anyone else does in this country. And being here allows us to be able to push more for that than certainly we could have done in Salvador. They said they couldn't bring him back, but now they're bringing him back to try to make an example out of him. It's despicable.
Congresswoman, before we let you go, can we just switch gears and talk about what is happening overseas in Gaza at the moment? You're introducing legislation to block the bombs, an act known as Block the Bombs Act. And I wanted to get your thoughts about that. Obviously, you know, right now what we're seeing overseas is heartbreaking. There have been growing calls in the United States for the U.S. to stop providing arms to Israel. Why did you decide to introduce this legislation? What do you hope to accomplish with this legislation? You have a U.S. senator who's basically calling on the Israelis to attack a flotilla that is trying to deliver aid into Gaza.
Yeah. I mean, which is exactly why we need this legislation. Look, the Netanyahu government is escalating a ground invasion and starving Palestinians. Trump wants to take over the Gaza Strip so he can redevelop it. The two of these people, Netanyahu and Trump, are a lethal, unaccountable extremist duo. And I think Congress in this precise moment needs to assert its oversight authority. That's why this bill is so important. It's a bill that withholds a set of offensive weapons from Israel, and it demands that Israel be compliant with U.S. and international law when using these bombs. Right now, Donald Trump is bypassing us to send those bombs, and we know what's happening. They're bombing shelters with children in them. And you and I both know that you cannot bomb ourselves to peace. And we have senators, such as the ones that you're hearing from, talking about making sure they block the ability for people to get food is despicable, but also a demonstration that Netanyahu and some of my own colleagues are okay with using starvation as a weapon of war.
Congresswoman Delia Ramirez, thank you so much.